So, Transformers Animated is a psychological thriller drama about generational trauma, the growth from anxiety and depression, and the consequences of putting two powerful factions of bad bitches against each other. Produced by John Hasbro Productions and directed by Conrad Grimlock in a previous life. And it's also one of the best Transformers shows in existence. Basically, everybody and their mother says, it's one of the best, and it's for a good reason. TFA is a show that gets better as you get older. As a kid, I was invested in all the wacky shenanigans of our unlikely heroes, having to endure psychological trauma at a young age because of Shockwave, and the badass fight scenes between the Autobots and Decepticons. However, as an adult now, it's the mature themes and excellent storytelling in terms of character development that keeps me coming back to this show over and over again. With how much said things remain relevant now, I think that Transformers Animated is worthy of your time and attention. It's very easy to dismiss it as just another kid's show, but it manages to subvert your expectations without betraying your trust. In short, it is more than meets the eye. So here's the tea, besties. This is actually a remake of an older video I did around, I say, 2018 to 2019, so 2 reasons why I decided to remake this one. 1, the format makes me cringe now, and 2, based on my most recent rewatch, this is bringing up new points as well as correcting a few things that was brought up by Glorious720 in the comments of the original video, so shout out to him for bringing up those points. So anyways, moving on to the video. By the way, I will be going into spoilers. This version of Optimus Prime is the one who means the most to me as both a person and as a fan of the show. His story arc and character development is perhaps one of the best aspects of this show. He is one of the most well-written Optimi within the history of this franchise. What made him stand out from the others is that in this continuity, he's not the leader of the Autobots. That title now belongs to Ultra Magnus, who is a much older character here. In the beginning, he was a star student of the Elite Guard Academy. He was essentially the Isabella Madrigal of the class, and he was named because of his optimistic outlook on life. Then, one day, his buddy Sentinel Prime and Elita 1 decided to have him come along on an unauthorized trip to a spider-filled planet. At first, it went smoothly, they explore, doing girly things. And said girly things is stumbling across a Decepticon warship, just girls being girls. However, it then all went to hell very quickly when spiders came out and Elita quote-unquote died when she fell into the ship as it was exploding from unstable energon. Put a pin on that detail of Elita quote-unquote dying. That becomes relevant in the show much later on in this episode. As a result of this incident, Sentinel broke off his friendship with Optimus and pinned the blame on him. When confronted by Magnus about it, Prime accepted all responsibility and he was kicked out of the academy as a result. With his name disgraced, he became an outcast. Then, one day, Ultra Magnus decided to promote him to the status of Prime and gave him the role of Space Bridge cleanup duty with 3 other bots, Ratchet, Bulkhead, and Bumblebee. During one assignment, they stumbled across the Cyber Ninja Prowl. In a combination of losing one of his best friends, being thrown under the bus by Sentinel, and being considered a disgrace by his society, Optimus develops severe anxiety and self-esteem issues. We see this unfold as he deals with self-doubt and imposter syndrome over his place in the universe and his skills as both a leader and a warrior. Additionally, it's heavily implied that he suffered from depression as a result of his survivor's guilt. He copes with his mental health issues by trying to put on a leader-like facade and hiding them from his other teammates. However, as the show progresses, he learns how to open up to the others, especially Ratchet and Prowl, and develops his skills as both a leader and a warrior. However, through coping with his anxiety and depression in a healthy manner and growing into the leader role naturally, he matured from a naive student to the hero he always wanted to be. In addition, he learns how to stand up for himself and do the right thing, even as Magnus, Sentinel, and Cybertronian society tells him to be the obedient cog in the great Autobot machine. By making him earn his place as the Optimus Prime, he can square up with this show's version of Megatron. Like the mighty Phoenix, he manages to rise above the ashes of his past by being the hero he always wanted to be. There's a reason why TFA Prowl is the only Prowl I really like. Just everything about him is just so perfect. Like Optimus, he's an outcast who lost his prestige from a mistake outside of his control and how he felt worthless about his place in this universe. However, while Optimus had Ratchet B and Bulkhead as companions, Prowl had no one. At the beginning, he was already in an iffy place in Autobot society as a draft dodger during the war. Then, in an act of mercy after he got caught for it, Sensei Yokotron took him in and taught him the way of the Cyber Ninja Corps. Like, sure, he's a student, you know, he's still learning. However, he eventually became a better person for it, which lays down the seeds of character development for later on. And then Yokotron dies.
Jesus Christ.
Now, alone again and having no one to confide in, he shuts himself off from the world. In a weird and sad poetic way, he is what Optimus would have been if, Optimus didn't have a support system to catch him while he's down. Even as he's with our main Autoboyos, he still puts up an icy wall between him and them. He's terrified of being hurt again, and he's essentially grieving alone. However, there's one moment between him and Optimus that speaks out a lot between the both of them, and how their bond is essentially the most important in this series.
Easy. We can transport you once we're finished in this sector. Shouldn't be long, 50 or 60 stellar cycles tops. Of course, if you lend a servo, it might speed things up.
You expect me to be a common maintenance bot?
That's my best offer. Take it or leave it.
First I failed to protect the protoforms, and now this! Do you have any idea what it's like to embark on a path, only to find it so completely twisted and turned that you have no idea where you are?
Oddly enough, I do.
I've made a video about this comparison in depth back in April, so feel free to check that out in the description after finishing this video. As the series goes on, he befriends the others and becomes a lot more emotive because he's in a loving and caring environment with people who cared about him. Compare his composure in the first episode to his composure in the Christmas episode. There's a huge difference. He's more relaxed and prone to smiling genuinely because he's able to cope in a healthy manner similar to Optimus. It's such a beautiful amount of character growth that just gets so brilliant. as you grow older. Ultimately, in the series finale, he and Jazz gather all the Allspark pieces to defeat the Lignite Supremes. However, since they need one more piece of the puzzle, Prowl sacrifices himself to save his friends, the one who took him in, the one he eventually calls a family.
He gave up his spark to save us.
No.
Oh, these sadistic sons of bitches at Tubi knew what they were doing with this description! Anyways, TFA Prowl is the only base Prowl. This version of Ratchet is the most interesting interpretation to date because of just how unapologetic he is when it comes to being himself. While the others struggle with self-esteem and their places in the world, he's already aware of it and is owning it like a freaking G. Like, he's not gonna take shit from basic bitches, so there's no way in hell he's gonna let others treat him badly. However, underneath that grumpy demeanor, he is a shell-shocked veteran of a war that really traumatized him for basically his entire life. This is especially evident through one character, RC. Ever since he had to wipe out her memories in order to save the access codes at her request, he felt it was his duty to honor her by not believing in the ideology of his society. Notice that, don't call me sir line, in the lockdown episode. It's those little details that really speaks a lot about his character. While he is respected for his role as a medic, he's still on thin ice because of his independent thinking, which especially doesn't help in being the caretaker of Omega Supreme. After being made the mentor of Omega Supreme, Ratchet taught him how to think for himself and not be like the Decepticons at the same time. However, during one incident, Omega had to go into stasis. The last words Ratchet said to his friend is to not let others control him. It's up to Omega to decide for himself. As a result of losing the two most important people in his life at this point, he puts up a wall between him and others out of fear that he may make the situation worse again and hurt the ones that he loves. This is especially evident when Sari accidentally hurt B in part 3 of Transwarp. All the flashbacks came up in that moment, and it's really heartbreaking to see. However, he was able to overcome this fear when he realizes that he can help others. He may not always succeed, but he is a very compassionate person underneath his grumpy demeanor, and he cares very deeply for his teammates. This is especially evident in his relationship with Optimus, basically adopting Prime as his own son. At first, he only gives little bits of advice and puts up a wall between the two of them since he's understandably not ready to share about his time in the war. However, after the encounter with Lockdown, he starts to open up to Prime and basically, alongside Prowl, was the one who believes in him the most. It was this scene near the end of the Lockdown episode that speaks a lot about who he is and how meaningful his relationship to Optimus is to the grand scheme of the show. It's honestly one of the best scenes in Transformers history.
How are you healing?
Arms as good as new. Thanks to you.
That wasn't what I meant.
Let's just say I have a much better appreciation for what you went through back in the day and why you don't want to remember it.
It's not that I don't want to remember. I have to remember. For those who can't.
Still, I don't suppose it hurts to talk about it sometimes. with a trusted friend.
So what do you want to know?
Out of the 3 characters I chose to highlight first before we get into the other excellent aspects of animated, Ratchet is honestly the character with the most depth out of the yes tier characters. Like, if TFP Ratchet didn't exist, I'd say he is the best interpretation of Ratchet overall in the franchise. What makes this Megatron stand out from other Megatrons in other Transformers shows is that his reasoning for leading the Decepticons are made much more clear here. Really think about the other Megatrons in terms of their motivations of other Transformers shows. I've noticed that the intentions of other Megatrons are little explained at best, and even then, it's purposefully kept ambiguous so that we pay attention to their evil deeds as villains. However, TFA Megatron breaks that streak through his ambiguous motivations despite his movement's goals being made much more clear. Additionally, he's not an insufferable douchebag to his troops. The first scariest part about animated Megatron is that he's able to manipulate people into being 100% loyal to him. Sure, his ego would prove to be his downfall as the series goes on, but you gotta give this guy props. He plans these things ahead of time, and he knows what people want to hear. He improvises. He thinks about, okay, so how do I get people to be loyal to me? Sure, he has, far more clever soldiers, but at the same time, there are 100% yes men and don't question his orders. Starscream is just the outlier. Bro literally finessed his way into getting a new body throughout Season 1 as a head. Bro really said work smarter, not harder. He does all of this because he thinks he's the good guy. That's very interesting. What led him down to the dark side? Why did he do it? What drove him to this point in the first place? With the exception of a little tidbit of his backstory in the Allspark Almanac, that and his motivations are up to interpretation. Oh hey, that rhymes. Most likely at the beginning, he started as a genuinely good person who genuinely wants to bring change. However, over time, he eventually becomes the monster he tries to fight against, and he still believes that he is the good guy fighting against the evil Autobots. And the crazy thing is that he's not exactly wrong about the Autobot regime. Anyways, it's this depth that makes a villain so damn interesting if done well, and I firmly believe that this is the reason why TFA Megatron is such a well done Megatron. You really don't know if he's genuinely believing that he's the good guy or not. Man, this Bulkhead is so awesome. He's perhaps my second favorite character in animated alongside Optimus. He is El Príncipe Verde in this household, folks, for a reason. He has a lot of funny moments throughout the show. His character arc of finding his confidence and how useful his engineering skills are is so compelling. And his friendships with Prowl, Bee, and Sari are just so wholesome. Man, I friggin' love him. I love him. He's my Príncipe Verde. Look at him. He's so adorable. While Bumblebee as a character is a mixed bag depending on how the continuity does him, this Bumblebee is honestly one of my favorite Bumblebees as a whole. It's very easy to get the Kid Appeal character very wrong, but here, they did him so damn good. He has the funniest moments in the entire show. His sharp wit and personality are just so fun to watch. And his interactions with Prowl and Bulkhead are just comedy gold. It also helps that his voice actor, Bumper Robinson, just oozes charisma and like the spunk in Bumblebee. Like props to him, especially for making this Bumblebee just so damn fun. Sari is also pretty likable and enduring. Her relationship with the other Autobots is so sweet and wholesome, and she has plenty of funny moments. I really like how she's also a girl of color, especially since, like, it's pretty, like, once in a blue moon. Like, by the way, this was prior to, like, Prime and Earthspark, so, yeah, Fans of Color 1. Neat. Man, Starscream in this show is what all Starscream should have been like. By not victimizing him to the point where it's legitimately uncomfortable, unlike some other Transformers shows, he can back up his bark with a bite. He is able to talk shit to Megatron's face, able to fight back when he retaliates, and he absolutely curb stomped the main Autobots in the 2 times he interacted with them. Not to mention, with the combination of the iconic Tom Kenny having like many of the funniest moments in the show and his campy personality, the Starscream is just yes tier. Lugnut is God's gift to humanity. Blitzwing is overrated, but he's still fun to watch. Holy shit, everything about Shockwave is just Like, I know I warned y'all at the beginning that I will be spoiling this show, but man, with Shockwave, like, y'all need to see the series for yourself. Just, he is a chef's kiss, Shockwave. Just delicioso. The side characters are really great and likable. Holy shit, how do I even explain Lockdown? Just the impact he had on Prowl's and Ratchet's arcs is both horrifying and heartbreaking. God, he is such a bastard. Just the layers because of him are amazing. Justice for Blur. The art style is a huge factor in why the show manages to age so well. With a colorful art style by the late great Derek J. Wyatt and the animation that is just so fluid and expressive, it's perhaps the most experimental thing that I love the most when it comes to animated as a whole. Also, this show has no right in being this funny. Just the comedic timing and the sharp humor is just like the show's biggest strength alongside the animation. Like, the voice actors have a huge part in delivering the execution of the jokes and bouncing off of each other very well. And I also like to highlight the great voice acting here. Just everybody did a fantastic job. Just 10 out of 10 cast. Okay, now that we got all this other stuff out of the way, unfortunately, there's no such thing as a perfect show, and animated isn't spared from issues here and there. Like, I wish that it is the best show that Transformers can offer overall, but there are things that hold it from being like a 10 out of 10. Let's go get into them right now. Some things in animated really shows its age, and it's not pretty. First things first. Man, the way this show treats its female characters sucks huge ball bearings. RC, while having an important role in the story, really only serves as the reason behind Ratchet's sad boy hours. This class is what we refer to as the Manpain. Commonly referred to as the Manx, our dear friends at TV Tropes defines this trope as when a female character only serves as a driving force behind a male character's dark past or motivation for his goals, usually in the form of a dead wife or a girlfriend. Okay, dead relative as a character motivation. Okay, that is a trope as old as the sun. However, here's the issue with the man pain. They don't give the girl a personality. Since Arcee spent a good chunk of her screen time as a prop and in a coma, it feels weirdly gross that she was pushed to the side like that. Like, before y'all flame me, just to clarify, I like her chemistry with Ratchet. I think they're a very cute couple. Yes, I like that Sue Blue is back as Arcee again. However, by not giving this Arcee a character outside of being a comatose lady that elderly dudes fought over in the Denny's parking lot, she is done so dirty by animated. Just And speaking of female characters done dirty, good lord, this character. To put it lightly, I have so many mixed feelings about BlackRachnia in animated. Yes, she is an enjoyable villain. Yes, she got a tragic backstory. Yes, she is voiced by the beautiful queen that is Cree Summer. But the show doesn't do justice to BlackRachnia's character and storyline. I'ma keep it real to you lads. Your pain and trauma doesn't give you an excuse to be a fucking dick. Like in all honesty, BlackRachnia's backstory doesn't justify some of the fucked up shit she did in this show. Let's go back to the man pain for a second, folks. Because the show focuses on how the Arca 7 incident, like, shapes Optimus as a person and Sentinel as a person, like, we get little to no focus on how BlackRachnia is feeling after that incident. Her pain is tied to their pain, like, her story isn't hers, and it feels so gross, like, who was in the writing room that day? Plus, she never really took that much responsibility for her role in the first place. Sentinel is rightfully dragged for being the idiot behind this mess, but she ain't no saint either. Girl, it wasn't Optimus's fault. Guess who was also fucking there? You have got to be fucking kidding me. Yeah, you and Sentinel deserve each other. Leave my boy out of this mess and take some fucking responsibility. Though, in fairness, this is a good showcase of how trauma negatively affects people. However, like I said, due to the fact that it focuses on only Optimus's and Sentinel's trauma, we really don't get any focus on BlackRachnia's trauma. I am salty because I honestly believe that BlackRachnia deserves better than what the show gave her. She deserves to be more than just man pain. Damn, not even Sorry is safe from this problem since she got pushed aside in season 3 because, of course, it always gotta go back to John Hasbro. God damn it. Honestly, Wasp deserves better than what the show gave him as well. Sorry, B, but your wimpy ass YouTuber apology ain't it, Chief. Honestly, out of the characters in the main Autobot cast, Bumblebee is the one I feel like the narrative really should have focused on with the same amount of screen time dedicated to the character arcs of the other characters. Like, his issues with being considered the little guy and the self-esteem issues stemming from that are never given much focus. They're there, but I would like to see more to him. Also, I'm gonna be also honest, he never really owned up to his mistake of accidentally putting Wasp into the stockades until it was too late for apologies. Even back as a kid with no taste, this part always feels so iffy to me because, B never really took that much responsibility that honestly could have killed Wasp. Sure, Wasp was an asshole, let's get that out of the way, but he was also driven to insanity. Even Optimus called out B on his YouTuber apology.
I mean, Longarm set me up. Not that Wasp would ever believe me.
But he might forgive you if you stopped making excuses and started making an apology.
Like, I feel like if Wasp had been there from the beginning and was built up over time, then his story and Bumblebee's story would feel complete. Like, honestly, this show did him so dirty. Okay, so editing me is here. I've decided to take out the entire bullet point of Blitzwing and the subject of DID representation because, like, I feel like this section kind of aged poorly. On one hand, portraying disabled people as psychos is a trope in media that needs to die already. At the same time, I don't have DID, aka dissociative identity disorder, so it's really not my place to speak about on what Blitzwing represents. So, to anybody who's a fan of animated and who has dissociative identity disorder, feel free to talk about it, like, in the comments, and how do you feel about Blitzwing, you know, all that good jazz. I'm just asking y'all to please keep it civil in the comments. Okay, bye. Ultra Magnus can suck my dick. Sentinel Prime can suck my dick. Okay, so here's some other smaller issues that I want to get to quickly because I really want to get back to the good stuff. I really don't give a shit about the human villains. Honestly, you can remove the Constructicons from the show and literally nothing can change. Like, sorry, not sorry. I don't like these guys. While they're much more tolerable and more likable than the Constructicons, I feel the same amount of apathy towards the Dinobots. Like, they're like the epitome of, like, why are you here? But in a lighter way. Like, I feel like with much more tighter writing and more time to fully flesh them out, then maybe they could have worked something, but I don't know, they're kind of meh. Anyways, that's all I have to complain about. Now let's get back to the good stuff. I want to cover the core themes of the show since, like, there is a shit ton lot to unpack here. I'm going to focus on 3 essential themes that I think is key to the show's success, starting with thanks to the great impact of the war and the exile of the Decepticons, many of Magnus's decisions are what's left over from his shady actions in the war. Like, if you've seen that list back in Megatron's section, that basically summarizes everything Magnus did. Over time, the consequences of these actions are reflected in future generations. Intense xenophobia is commonplace, which is further intensified by Sentinel's time as Magnus. It left huge gaps in the government where it's easy to fall into corruption, as shown by Shockwave infiltrating as Long-Arm Prime, and the collectivist culture of Cybertron determines what type of individual you'll be for life. Like, you can't even choose your name. Like, it's your commander's job to give you your name. Now, whoever gave Erector his name is just being a bully that day. Oh shit, another rhyme. In a nutshell, we see the concept of the sins of the fathers play out, and it plays a significant role in how the story progresses. Specifically, Sentinel's descent into villainy and Optimus's story. This eventually leads into the second crucial theme of the show. With all this context of the show in mind, it leaves one huge question. Who are we supposed to root for? With the gray morality of the Autobots and the valid points the Decepticons brought up, it's a very compelling take on this conflict. Not to mention, it reflects the time frame of America's cultural climate in the 2000s. According to the crew in the Allspark Almanac, they took inspiration from the War on Terror, specifically the war in Afghanistan, which was ongoing at the time of the show's production. They specifically cited the use of propaganda to spread misinformation about the opposing side and the many violations the Bush administration committed during this time as the examples used in developing this key aspect of the show. It's a production detail that makes a whole lot of sense because the political environment in the show uncomfortably reflects on how the world operates. Time and time again, we continue to see the demonization of ethnic groups around the world simply for existing. The actions of the government will result in people taking drastic measures. And war is something, unfortunately, we cannot avoid time and time again. This is such a mature concept in a show aimed at a family audience that is both terrifying then and now, as well as continuing to be relevant. We need a show like this. Terrorist Megatron, Sentinel and his corrupt government, the consequences of the mob mentality towards those on the opposing side or who are organics, and the horrors that occurred behind the closed doors of the Autobot government all those years ago. Even if you don't like animated, you can't help but admire it for taking the risk to teach the audience an important lesson or two. In the end, it pays off well. Almost too well. At the very core of the show, there's the overarching theme of finding who you are as a person and how your relationships with others can shape you for the best. Let's start with our main Autoboyos, the societal rejects. Each of them is deemed worthless and only worth something because they fix space bridges. Their society firmly believes in a collectivist mindset, which is focused on prioritizing the community's needs over your own. I learned that in oral communications, lads. Thus, except for Prowl and Ratchet, the lads were told their whole lives that they should sacrifice their own wants for the greater good. However, then the Allspark happened, and they crash-landed on Earth. After saving Sari from the monster from Guardians of the Galaxy 2, they were hailed as heroes by the humans. However, Optimus doesn't know how to feel about this sudden change of luck, as shown by this conversation between him and Ratchet during the train opening ceremony in the second part of the pilot.
They keep calling us heroes, but I don't feel like a hero any more than I did repairing space bridges on Cybertron.
In my experience, heroes usually end up on the repair table or the scrap heap, and I'm not ready to join the well of Allsparks just yet.
But Starscream decided to be a little stinker and foil the party. In the heat of the moment, Optimus was ready to give up and begin to believe that what Ultra Magnus said about him not being ready as a hero was right. It's this type of vulnerability that not only shows the excellent body language in the animation, but also shows how crucial the theme of self-esteem matters in this show. Then, in a surprising twist, it's Prowl who consoles Optimus during his time of vulnerability.
Give up the Allspark or give up the Earth. How am I supposed to decide?
Heroes are the ones who make the hard choices.
Maybe Ultra Magnus was right. Maybe I'm not programmed to be a hero.
You're not alone. A wise bot once told me a machine is stronger than its component parts. Only I had to learn that the hard way.
After that fiasco with Starscream, not only do they all learn to get along with each other, but they also learn to grow from their mistakes. They each have their own character arc of defying the labels given to them by their society and managing to prove themselves as the heroes they are.
That panel's gonna overload!
I think you've done enough, Optimus. I'll make sure you're tried for high treason for destroying the Allspark. Now come with me.
No!
That wasn't a request. That's a direct order, Optimus.
It's Optimus Prime. I may be an elite guard washout and a glitch detail flunky, but the last time I checked, you and I still have equal rank. So, Sentinel Prime, take your order and your condescending attitude and stick in your hard drive. You're on my turf now.
Slay! Slay! Even with trial and error, they continue to do the right thing and stand up for themselves despite the world trying to crush their spirits over and over again. At the end of the journey, they became the heroes they were destined to be on Cybertron. No matter how many people put you down, no matter how society tries to crush you into a mindless drone, no matter how your personal demons have drained the energy out of your life and body, no matter what role that box tries to trap you into, you deserve to be the hero of your own story. Transformers Animated is an excellent show, not only for its likable characters and eccentric charm, but it also gives the audience at home something to think about. What I want y'all to take away from this video is that Transformers is truly a deceptive franchise. It's the shows like Animated, Beast Wars, admittedly Prime, Cyberverse, and Earthspark that destroys the idea that animation is just for kids. In the right hands of a crew who cares and who can take the next step, it can create something amazing. In my humble opinion, Transformers Animated is one of the best Transformers shows in existence. It's a passion project that succeeds in the end with a huge cult following that continues to grow every day. As shown by how it continues to receive material and figures long after Hasbro canceled it, this show is what it feels like to see a hero. For those of you who stuck out to the end, thank you all so much for watching me ramble about a cartoon from the late 2000s for more than 10 minutes. Let me go get this out of the way. All my opinions are my own. It's fine if you have a different opinion from mine. Like, if y'all want to talk about other aspects of Animated that I missed, feel free to comment down below. Anyways, I am done rambling. This took me like a few days, just taking it out stuff that doesn't age well and like putting in stuff that still ages well. Make sure to like this video and comment below your thoughts. Please keep all conversations respectful and civil. If you want to see more videos like this, or you really like my meme edits, please subscribe and turn on all notifications. Once again, thank you all so much for watching.